See, howdy. What's going on out there, YouTube? It's America's most hated man, Jim Janis, here to speak to you on People's Computer Repairman, on the computer repairman side about security clearances and government employment, SF-86 forms, which I've got to look at myself. They're a humdinger. You know, when I say a form, I don't mean a couple of pieces of paper. I mean like 500 pieces of paper. And the thing about it is, you can't fill it out on your computer. You say, well, how am I going to fill this fucker out? And who am I going to send it to? You know, there's a number of different things. And for the fanboy out there, or the fangirl, or even that transgender that's in morphology, you know, naturally, you know, people that are curious in nature and bold have considered something to do with a security clearance position. And unfortunately, if you're thinking about rockets, all right, space travel, anything to do with space, technically has to do with aerospace or something. It requires some form of clearance, even for civilian applications. So it can be a real bitch if that is your dream. And I think that we're going to be moving into an area where, at least me personally, you know, I'd stake the farm on it. We're going to be looking at security clearance is needed for construction workers and just, you know, medium labor, you know, because there's going to probably be construction of sites and there's going to be, you know, shit that needs to get done. I'm talking about plumbing, HVAC, technical work that they're going to need somebody who can pass a security clearance test. And I'm here to tell you this. When I started looking to get a security cleared position with the U.S. government, I started to find myself. You know, I was 19 years old. We were at war with Iraq. Gas was $4.50. I cut my goddamn arm up. I'd been to jail. I'd crashed a car, beat the windows out of a car, and been to jail. Punched on my old lady, and you know, I was real bad on pills. And I said, you know, there ain't nothing but bums in my life. You know, and I don't use the N-word to describe people of color. You know, I call everybody in this case N-word. I wish I could. It's hard to say it. You know, white, black, yellow, whatever you want to call them. I call them N-words. And we're not going to say that word out of respect. It's Martin Luther King Day. God bless Martin Luther King. Out of respect to him, we're not going to say that word today. But I will say this. You know, the way I was raised was pretty terrible. And they don't tell you those things, brother. They don't tell you. So you can give up. I mean, how in the fuck do you know that, okay, this is the career path I want to go? You don't even know you're fucking it up by fucking it up. And that's why I got fucked. I was 19 years old. I tried to join the army. I said, if I can't make a man out of myself, and there ain't no goddamn male figure that I can find, they're all cracked out or fucked up, you know, drunks. I can't find a man figure around here. These people are garbage. Scum of the earth. Scum of the earth. Trash. And so I went to the recruiter's office and I'm like, hey, I'm ready to go. You know, I got my dick sucked by a married woman that night. And I rode around the town and I got waivers. He said, you got to go get waivers on all your your criminal activity, abstracts. I had to go to all the towns and get those papers. And he said, man, you've had some problems. And it was the pigs that busted me, of course. I blew a 0.02 near New Albany, Mississippi. It's a dry county. They took my Crown Royal. They took my goddamn Corona. My scales, which I didn't have any. Nothing like that when selling. They took my shit. They impounded my truck. Over a zero, they gave me a fucking DUI under 21. Yeah, that blew 0.02 when the state goddamn limit is 0.08. I was 19 years old. They got zero tolerance. That's why they did it. And they fucked me, man. They fucked me bad. And I went out of my way to be sober. And I was sober. I was 6 fucking points under the limit. First somebody was 21. They took my goddamn shit. They impounded my truck. They wanted to fuck me in the ass. And that is what the recruiter hated. He said, well, you got DUI. You got possession of marijuana and motor vehicle. Automatically, this is what the Army recruiter will tell you. It may have changed now. You can forget about, and these are misdemeanor charges. This is before the felonies. This is before the felonies. You can forget about avionics or flying gunships and shit like that. You can forget about the driving, driving trucks, doing different things of that nature. You can forget about some of the better jobs, and then it comes down to an ASVAB score. But that was just 2 misdemeanors, 2 charges. Here's the clincher. This is where they fuck you. Again, they double fuck you. I got 2 brushes with the law, but each brush I had 4 or 5 charges. They bundle you with a bunch of charges. So you may, run through a roadblock once, but you get the DUI, you get the marijuana in the motor vehicle, you get the possession of paraphernalia, you get the driving with no insurance, you get the seatbelt violation. You know what I'm saying? They come in packs. They'll lay an army down here. They will lay an army. We had rumors of a guy, and I'm not bullshitting you. This guy had over $50,000 in fines, and he works. He works at his job, and he works on the work program. He'll be working there for 20, 30 years. He's got to work off, or come with the money, $50,000 in fines he owes. Which leads us to the 13 sins. I want to give you some facts, not just opinions, of security clearances. Now, you say, Tyler, why are you talking about all this shit? It's like, well, it's very important. And you may be like, look, I don't want to work for the CIA. I'm not down with that crazy shit. I could give a rat's ass. I hate the Army. I hate the soldiers. I spit on the flag. It's everything I hate in life. But these are guidelines for common living. Think about this. I lived around a bunch of animals. And I lived a very savage life. And it gets savage out there. I'm not apologizing for it. And, you don't want to be an asshole and judgmental. That's just how some people live. But the first step is allegiance to the United States. You got to have your United States. I never knew a fucking thing. I burned flags before I learned how to fold flags. And, that stood out to me. And it's one of the things I kind of wanted to change. I said, maybe these kids don't have to feel that anger and that hate. And thankfully, a lot of them don't today. There's actually less and less people burning flags and spewing hate, and that's a good thing. But allegiance to the United States. If you're burning flags and you hate the government and you hate the president, and which I'm not saying that there's I mean, you can do what you want to do, but if you hate America and you like spies, you look up to Snowden, defecting spies. You look up to Snowden. You rat out. A lot of people say, "Well, you type to Russia and say I need to get out of here. I think I'm under remote control." And some people do tests. I may run tests. I may not run tests because at the end of the day, you never know who's out to get you. And say, well, if I don't defect to Russia, these people are going to kill me. Well, what do you want to do? You want to die? You want to stay broke? Or do you want to go to Russia and get rich and do cocaine and drink vodka? And that's how they start getting you. And they start working in your head. And that's where, number one, Guideline A, allegiance to the United States, is absolutely critical. Now, number two is Guideline B. This is called foreign influence. Foreign influence. You do not want to be influenced by people in the foreign areas. Now, this is where it gets funky as far as it used to be. If you're applying for, like I said, I'm disqualified from any military intelligence. I'm not a spy. I don't purport to be a spy. I'm not a spy. But I just looked into this as a research topic. That's it. But it's like, if you're looking into like the CIA.gov shit, if you visited, which I had to do it only for a research paper, it says, are you interested in foreign affairs? They seek candidates that are interested in foreign affairs and interested in different cultures that can speak different languages. Okay, so it's like, well, you want somebody that can do that, but to get the skin in the game and be interested in doing that requires some foreign, I wouldn't say foreign preference. You probably need to talk to some majors or something like that. You need to go to a base. Anybody like you that's watching this video, I'm going to give you some of my personal tips that really creep me out from the paranoid, from the disqualified, from the 67 zone. I apologize. I'm trying to get control of this fucking thing. All right, yeah. Foreign influence. And then C is your foreign preference, which, if you seem to like the foreign people more than your own people, which it's cool to put China on a pedestal. I like Bruce Lee. I like Jackie Chan. I admire Chinese culture, or what I perceive, the honor, the discipline, Germans. I admire the Germans, how Hitler stormed detachment, Sturmfuhrer, baby. 666, the devil. I'm just joking. But, Germany here is associated with heavy metal, rock and roll, good machinery, good engineering, kick-ass, balls, masculine, you know. And there's other cultures and countries that have these images, all right? But you can be seduced if you read the Bible. And then we're going to get into the Bible shit. One of the last ones I'm going to show you where I got pigeonholed, I got cornholed. And you can be driven down this pseudonomical wedge that may or may not exist, but I'm going to show you how people out here, and I see them every day, they're getting shoved down these holes. They can forget about a security clearance. They can forget about a job at Taco Bell. They're losers. They're the scum of the earth. Their drags on Social Security. Their drags on Medicaid. Their drags on unemployment. These people are dog shit. They are fucking scum. And I'm going to show you how to spot them, too. But the first things first is we got to make sure you're not one of them. And I tell you what, I suffer from a lot of traits of the N-word. You know, we're not going to use the word. It's Martin Luther King Day. And when I use the word, I don't like to use it in reference to people of color. I said there's white N-words, yellow N-words. Hell, from what I heard, and a lot of people don't like it. I said, well, there's Jewish N-word, Italian N-word, African N-words. And, they'll beat you up. They'll stab you in the face. They'll shoot you dead. They'll hang you out to dry. You say that over there. They'll kill you. So you gotta watch what you say. That's just between you and me. Watch what you say. Because some people just may come kill you. And you can forget about a security clearance. So on to number 3, like I said, foreign preference. If you like the Germans, the Chinese, the Russians, I'm a Putin fan. A lot of people don't like that. It's hard to be a Putin fan. Heck, it's hard to be a Trump fan. It's hard to be any fan in power because there's so many people that hate, there's so many people that don't, and you try to avoid those. But always be loyal to your country first. You got to be loyal, and that's where you can pretty much knock out A, B, and C. If you could just handle one goddamn fucking thing, loving the stars and bars, and respecting your country, which a lot of people, it's just in the bones. It's just in the marrow. It's just in the sinew. You love your fucking country. If you can handle that, green, yellow, red, you're good. You're in the car. But that's when things start getting hairy. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear you out basically through this whole thing because I went all the way. All the way. It's kind of like a woman. You go get you a prostitute. And I tell you, that's what we're getting on to number 4. Number 4, sexual preference. Guideline D. It's like you get a prostitute. I had one the other day, which we're not going to joke. I'm just joking. I'm saying somebody who isn't me had a prostitute I know of. He's a good guy. Real good looking girl, and he'd pick her up. He's like, are you going to go all the way? And it gets scary because you don't know. And this is why Guideline 4 is important. Let me run it by you. He goes get him a blowjob. Fuck, you've been working for so long. It's like, hey, you can only beat your meat. It don't matter all the crack cocaine and the fucking crystal meth and the pills and the money and the cars and the wheels and the grills. There's a void still for a red-blooded American male, and that's a piece of ass. A piece of pussy. The enemy knows that. And they frown upon that. They really frown upon it. And I'm going to tell you right now, a wife, a girlfriend, a significant other is a very, very treacherous issue. And a lot of good guys, and women, they have loser boyfriends. They got loser dads, deadbeat dads. They can't ditch the family. They ditch the family, they're just fried. They're done for because that goes back to your A, B, and C. Your foreign influence and your foreign preference. And let me tell you a little secret. Officer's oath. For those of you who don't get heavy. Commissioned officer is the way to go. But you eliminate your enemies, foreign and domestic, foreign and domestic, foreign and domestic, foreign and domestic, foreign and domestic. Drill it into your fucking head. So you said, well, what's foreign? What is my body? This is my person. I got 2 fucking eyes, 2 fucking ears, 2 fucking nostrils, 1 fucking mouth. You dig? The neurons in my brain and the master brain. Don't forget to check out universalmindministries.com, Universal Mind Ministries on Facebook. But the master brain. And then, of course, your body, who you control. Inside of here, I got organs. Livers, kidneys, hearts. You know what I'm saying? Anything out here is foreign object. These hard drives right here. Foreign objects. These chairs, these walls, that Budweiser up there on a counter. It's a foreign object. So although I may have family members that I have been indoctrinated, that these cocksuckers are my family, they are foreign. And when your family takes up position that's hostile against the government, you need to be prepared to pull the trigger. And if you're not prepared to kill your son or your daughter or put your mother in a body bag, then you're not cut out for this kind of work. And you need to listen to my guy, Todd Reckhart. He'll tell you all about it. And there's another guy I know, he said, you better leave your heart at the door. If you're serious about getting in the words of damn Pink Floyd motherfucker, well, you know, when you're in for good. There's no way out. David Gilmour, there's no way out. When you're in until you're dead. They put you in a lake somewhere. So you really got to think about it. You know, you got a new wife in the service. You don't need a woman. It's for pussies. Pussies and faggots. No disrespect to gays. Pussies and faggots. A goddamn woman. The fuck? And you'd be surprised. That's all he got was a fucking joint and a goddamn 6-pack of beer and a fucking woman. Laziest pieces of shit I ever seen. And that constitutes foreign influence and foreign preference, in my opinion, because it's not necessarily the Ruski. It's not the red. It's the fucking Budweiser. It's the fucking cigarette. You know, it's the television. It's the decision not to PT. It's a losing, lousy sack of shit. Foreign preference. And then, of course, your sexual behavior, being a whore. Now, women, I don't know how it works with women. I hear they do the honeypot, and all they do is, you know, they can influence people. They can do things that just men cannot. So I'm not going to disrespect women on this. We're not going to talk about women because I'm not qualified to speak about women. And not on this. I think the guidelines for women are going to be different than the guidelines for men. And that may or may not be the case, because I tell you what, there's a lot of gay men. They try to honeypot gay men. You know, you act like a gay man. Have you ever seen the movie Mechanic? You need to go look at the movie Mechanic. I think it's got Jason Statham in it. But they're assassins, and the guy, he has to do some gay shit to get in on his target. And unfortunately, that's part of the rumor, is that there is a lot of gay sex that goes on in there, and you need to be prepared for that. You know, if you're a straight man and you're talking about getting into some of these, especially your upper level clearances, they're going to test you, you know, and the root and the toot, from what I hear, that the hazing is extreme, and a lot of the guys just don't make it. And you're definitely not the guy you were when you went in, because you're a nomad. You're not allowed to be out there in the open no more. You know, your Facebook, your Twitter, your social life, you better be ready to give it up and say bye-bye. We don't want it. Sexual behavior, we don't need the dick. Go back to the Bible. If you got to cut off your dick and balls, if you got to cut off your hand to enter the kingdom, this is the kingdom now. You're trying to get in the back door. If your dick is causing you problems, cut it off. And you look at Alan Turing, that guy was castrated because he was a homo. They cut his dick and his balls off. He was one of the best scientists. Hell, he arguably saved the war, saved us from the war. World War II, the Germans who broke the code. But they cut his dick and his balls off. His own damn country. He saved his country, and they cut his dick and balls off over that shit. So, you know, it happens. If you talk a lot of shit like me, cut your tongue out. It may come down to that. I was very distraught when I wanted to be in the Air Force. I got out of the Red. I wanted to be an Air Force man. And I was stone cold sober. No weed, no pills, no drinking. I was 180 something pounds, and I was ready to go. You know, I could run a mile and a half in 10 minutes, pretty much. So, but they said, "Oh, you're a danger. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. We'll get to that later." All right, we covered 4 sexual behavior. Guideline E, personal conduct. That's frequently used against liars. Lying on your SF-86. What's the SF-86? It is a form that basically is the form that you have to put in to the government to get the clearance. You mail it off to something called OPM, which is Office of Personnel Management, and it goes through the cogs of the government, and it's just the first step. I don't even know really where all to send it because it's heavy. It's real heavy. And you better go to, like I said, I put it to you like this. If you got a printer like that, you can forget about printing it. They won't let you fill it out online. You know, you can't just click the buttons and fill it. You can't save it. You have to fill it out manually. So if you're thinking about doing it on that, you're probably going to burn through several cartridges of ink. It's over 500 pages long. And if you think about going to the library to do it, they're like 15 cents. So what's 15 times 5? 500. Then 1,500, 30, 45, 60, 75. $75. All right. Give me just 1 second. People, if you have any questions about this topic, like I said, we've gone through the first 4. We're on the 5th one right now, which is your personal consideration. It's not very, very important. I'm also going to recommend that you go to af.mil and check out the Air Force and check out your guidelines. Look at them and look at their guidelines, because their guidelines, they may be a little more lax than what we're talking about here, but they're very stringent. I spoke with a Marines guy, a Marines man, instructor. I was like, hey, can I do the Marines? And believe it or not, they're a lot more stringent than you think. They're very elite, and they don't take the felons. If you got a felony, you can forget it. And in my case, I have a felony evasion charge, and that's what they really look at. That's the nail in the coffin. Some of the ones are adjudicatable, and you can get rid of them. There's no way you can get rid of this, except for maybe a presidential pardon or a government pardon. You see, I did the experiment literally on this channel. Typed in how to expose your felony in Mississippi. You'll see it. I did the test live on you. Ain't no fixing it. You talk about driving a big truck. I'm not too proud to drive a big truck. Yeah, they ain't gonna let you drive a truck. They ain't gonna let you drive a truck. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. The Ice Cube. Put that in your head. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I promise you, if you're watching this and you're a low-income dirtbag, you're a fucking trash whore, a fucking sleaze whore, a fucking dopehead, a fucking loser, I highly suggest you check yourself before you wreck yourself. Listen to Reckhart, Todd Reckhart, Clearance Jobs TV, and get some of this doctrine down your throat. Once you get some of this doctrine down your goozle, if it don't make your life better, I'll kiss your ass. I dig it, because it makes me feel superior to my fellow man. Let's just let the egos out. I know in my heart of hearts and in my mind of minds, I am superior to the vast majority of my fellows. You say, that's a big ego. How can you have that? You gotta have it. It's not egotistical, it's common fact. It's actual fact. I have educated myself to the degree that I am superior to the common man or the common woman. I encourage you to do the same. And by listening to this, you're getting there. You are getting there. You are getting there. Like I said, even if you're not going to the CIA or the NSA or Border Patrol School or the MARSOC or Delta Force or BUDS or Ranger School or fucking Air Force fucking training air traffic controller school, even if you're not wanting to go to NASA, or Lawrence Livermore, you can use these in parenting, So again, personal conduct, liars are a no-go. One fucking lie, you're done. You're done. That's going to be the hardest part. You're going to have to disclose everything. If you like touching little girls, you like touching little boys, you like selling drugs to kids, you like shoplifting, you embezzle funds, you launder money, you're affiliated with gangs, you have ties to certain religious organizations, religion, yes, yes, yes. You may want to check your Bible at the door in certain things. Now, if you're going for a low clearance, and old George Hart here, he'll show you. You're going for a lower clearance like that. I mean, if you want to fucking dig ditches, outside of an installation and maybe put up some fencing, that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. Bring your Bible, put it in the truck, but you're going to keep it outside the camp. There's a Bible verse for you. You know, in constructing Solomon's temple, they only needed certain types of workers. So if you like that and you want to have your Bible, you're going to keep it outside the camp. That's between me and you. So if you're not prepared to let go of your personal Jesus, you might be having a problem. All right, number 6, financial considerations, Guideline F. The number 1 clearance killer per news.clearancejobs.com. They think if you can't manage your money, you can't manage classified information. And I'm going to tell you a top secret, really good, real good story I learned from a guy. This is used engaging folks. This comes from the inside. He was interviewing people and he would talk to them and come out to their car. And he said, I tell you what, if your car's a wreck, your life's a wreck. You know, he wouldn't think about it, but, you know, I grew up in shit cars. Mama keep trash on the floor. You know, they still keep trash on the floor. Car seats. People that got kids in the back seat, you know. That's one of the clear indicators. If you got a car seat and you've got kids, you can forget about it. You know, it may, you know, some may be in there, they may go, but if you're talking about the good shit, forget about it. Forget about it. If you're not willing to fuck your daughter in the fucking asshole with a curling iron and shoot your wife in the chest over this shit, you need to forget about it. You don't want friends. The more friends you have means more people get tortured when you get hemmed up. You don't want pets. I mean, you really want Fido's nose? You know, saw a dog's nose off of an hacksaw and wrap it up in a hoagie wrap and send it to you. Do you really want your dog's nose in a hoagie wrap? You know, that's, like I said, it's not a good idea. But if you're broke, I'm going to tell you like this Army recruiter told me when I was 19 years old. The Army is not a place for fuck-ups. And it's not a place for people who have nowhere else to go. I hope you're not biting your fingernails. Biting your fingernails, you dummy. It's not a place for fuck-ups. And it's not a place for people where there's nowhere else to go. And that's how I found it, unfortunately. And I think, unfortunately, that's how a lot of young men find it. I mean, you'll have your richer men, but everybody wants to be Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs today. You know, they don't want to die face down in the mud. You know, everybody wants to play video games. They don't mind flying drones into people. And that's, you know, that's more standoff. They don't mind, and that, you know, that's what it is. You know, they don't mind killing people with no controls. But when it comes time to actually fighting in the dirt, there's a real problem. And I think that's where a lot of people, they get into jams. Child support. And if you're on child support, you got a bad credit score, go to Credit Karma, run your credit score. I got a 420 in the red, super red. They don't like it. It won't fly. And it's not just for your security clearance. That's even for just regular military. They don't want bums. They don't want bums. And they won't have bums. And they tried about a year back. I tried to get on the train. I even tried to join again. I was 29. You know, I'm old and useless now. But I tried to get on that train. They were letting crazies in, and they were letting dope heads in. And the brass, they shut that shit down. They shut it down real quick. So if you've got debt, you can forget about it. Square up your debt, you goddamn bums. 7, Guideline G, alcohol consumption. They used to call it truth serum. They drink you, they drink you, they drink you, they put GDs. Drinking, the adjudicated guideline comes down to the alcohol abuse, not the regular glass of wine or the occasional bender. It is often seen through repeated citations for driving under the influence or public intoxication. If you've been cited recently or frequently for alcohol-related offenses, consider enrolling yourself in an alcohol education course. Now, I say this to my friends in the penitentiary. You know, I'd always go to jail, and I'd say, "Why me? Why the fuck do I keep going to jail?" And it was aggravating. And I went to jail. I went to the penitentiary, and I just kept going. And, you know, hell, I went to jail not long ago. I have to go back to court. I said, "Why am I going to fucking jail?" Public intoxication, drinking, and driving. I said, "Look here, drinking and driving ain't the problem. Cops busting me is the problem. You know, I got arrested in the courtroom. They said I was intoxicated. They got no breathalyzer, no nothing. And I'm not going to say where. I'm just telling you a hypothetical story, but a real story. I seen 3 guys in there. I seen one guy I know was a guy who goes to AA. He don't drink. I said he was not drinking. He was in there for DUI. I said, that man is not intoxicated. I said, what's your definition of intoxication? You got spiritual intoxication, you got emotional intoxication. That's a real broad brush you're painting with there, buddy. And it's a frightening brush. I saw a lot of guys in there. 2 guys had dogs. They said he was intoxicated there at the vet. Guy's worried to death about his dog sitting there in a jail cell. He pissed somebody off. They thought he was fucked up. They took him to jail. So you got to watch out about that. And drinking in general is regarded as an N-words thing. This is an insider I heard from real Army guys. They said it's for the N-word. You know, you give him his day's wages and beer, and it keeps him Army. It's not. It's for civvy scumbags. It's for losers. It's just like refined sugars, just like fast food. It's for losers. It's for sheeple. It's for N-words. And for lack of a word, I wish I could just say it right now. It's a great word to say. And I'm waiting for the African Americans to back me on it. Well, it's not Martin Luther King Day anymore. It ain't Martin Luther King Day anymore, motherfucker. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. All right. So 8, Guideline 8, H, drug involvement. If you're doing drugs, it says here that drug involvement gives young security clearance applicants sweaty palms, but infrequent drug use can be mitigated, particularly with the passage of time. I'm going to give you the 1-year rule. This is how I was always told. You get sober. If you can show you don't drink for a year, you don't drug for a year, you don't fuck for a year. Like you said, you're making a sacrifice, a big time sacrifice. You don't drink, you don't fuck, you don't drug, you don't smoke, you don't pray to Jesus, or whatever you got is. You ditch the loser girlfriend. You write off the loser family. You take the dog to the ASPCA. You enroll in some martial arts class. You dig? And you start learning different languages. You do that for a year. And we'll see you in 100 books. Start reading some books. That's the best advice I'd give you right there. Be honest about the drugs, and you're going to be, like I said, be prepared to give it up. You have to give it up. Guideline 9I, psychological conditions. This is the clincher. This is the killer. I don't know about an SF-86, but I know about a Catch-22. And this is one of them. I was thrown in the ringer. They told me I was crazy since an early age, since, I wasn't allowed to go to school without them sticking needles in my arms and giving me pills and shit and bullshit. And now you look at the military and you go to MEPS processing, they say you can't be in the military if you took some of those pills. It's like, well, that's fucked up. What do they do? They don't tell you. So that's the bad thing. If you're really PO, you can't go. If you're postdoc, you're experimental stock, meaning you're probably damaged goods. By the time you get to the age or the intelligence level to consider a career or a job market that probably requires a security clearance, by the time you've wrapped your fucking mind around that, you may be damaged goods. And we're going to get into that. That's a whole nother can of worms. And it's going to make you feel really useless. You might hang yourself. 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 Hang yourself. Hang yourself. Hang yourself. But if you go through these psychological conditions right here, you'll realize that mental health counseling is not a disqualifying factor for the security clearance. The issue for the government is the untreated mental illness, unreliability, or the dysfunctional behavior. Now, here's the clincher. I told him it was a security violation to only speak one language. The real problem that I saw was you go to the mental hospital. I went to the mental hospital. They locked me up in the state mental ward. No shit. Ape shit, bat shit, crazy. Dogs talking to me. And I go in there and they give you your state issue cot, your towels, your linens, and a Bible. And you go in front of a board of doctors and lawyers and government officials. It's about worse than being in jail. When you're in prison, you go before the board or for parole, or when you're getting out. You're just kind of in and out, in and out. When you go in the crazy house, it's a whole other ball game. It's like a sick form of American Idol. You got to go out here and you got to prove to these motherfuckers you're sane, so they'll let you out. Otherwise, you're just stuck in there. And so, you got to go down that road, and they got that Bible in there. And I said, now, that's delusional. You're believing in something that ain't real. You get into that Bible, especially down there in Silicon Valley. They hate that goddamn thing. They hate religion. And they hate people that buy into that shit. They hate them. They literally want to kill them. And it's like, well, if you can't get your head out of that, you're going to have a problem. They say you're psychologically insane. You're a psychological casualty. Because they're not prepared to pull the trigger. Or their Christian beliefs are limiting them from performing the operational duties. They're not able to perform operationally because of religious preference, which dictates, like I said, in the section B or C is foreign preference. That Bible is going to keep you out. I mean, unless, like I said, if you want to work out there rolling up fences or digging ditches, you're going to be fine to get in, but it will keep you out. It's going to be a big problem. And a lot of people don't see that, and they'll tell you just like they did at the mental hospital. I mean, they let me out. I mean, I said, yeah, man, I've been reading my Bible. They said, you've been reading your Bible? Great. That was a sign of mental stability that I was reading my Bible. And to me, it was kind of a sign of insanity. If, you were to say, hey, this Bible's bullshit. I don't believe this goddamn Bible. this whole place is crazy. Why are you poisoning me? They're going to lock you in there longer. You know, so you got to be like, yeah, I love this Bible. I love this Jesus. And then you get out of there. So it's a deception game. You got to work your way through it's like a house of mirrors. You got to go through the traps that are used to keep the proverbial riffraff down. You know, and you'll appreciate the traps. You'll say, my God, why do we have little children eating this shit, drinking this shit? What is going on in our country? And you say, well, these are the N-words. We don't use the word, like I said, it was Martin Luther King Day, and we're not, you know, it's not reference people of color. It's just, these are the N-words. This is the common stock. You know, this is the scum of the earth. And this is what they do. This is how they live. This is how they breathe. And, you know, to me, getting the security clearance, getting the SF-86, it's an expression of masculinity. It's an expression of dominance. It's an expression of hatred and discord and what is that word? It's like you got a vendetta, a chip on your shoulder against your fellow man. And it's a powerful feeling of dominance. It's like for a young man, he wants to just shoot cops. You know, he wants to freak out. You know, he wants to shoot up his school. He's got no father figure. He's got no mother figure. You know, I see these boys all the time, and it tears my heart apart. I have seen boys in these jail cells. They get in there, you know, 17, 18 years old. You know, they get in a fight with a woman. You know, and the guy's looking at 20 years. You know, their lives are a fucking wreck. And it's like they belong in the military. They belong with motherfuckers. They can get them jobs. And instead they're sitting behind bars over a goddamn woman. And that leads us to Guideline J10, which is criminal conduct. The criminal conduct's considered based on three categories. You've got your felonies, your misdemeanors, and your common infraction. All must be reported on SF-86. When in doubt to whether or not you were actually arrested for the college drinking incident, you must include the information along with other mitigating factors such as character references. You're going to have to be prepared to come up with character references. Those are bad, just like on a passport. You got to list the people you're going to let get cut up. So if it's going to be your wife or your kids, that's good insurance because they will cut them up and they'll stuff their body in a 50-gallon drum of lye and they'll cook them up. They'll throw them off in a ditch like you would any deer. But the criminal conduct is bad, and infractions are going to be like your speeding tickets. These guys are looking for the real buttoned up, straight edge motherfuckers. You know, that sweat over a ticket. You got to understand the common man generally doesn't even have a speeding ticket. They don't have a no insurance ticket. They don't have infractions with the law. It just doesn't happen. And I've met these people. You know, they don't break the law. They don't even speed. They don't lie on their taxes. They don't cheat the man. And that's the kind they're kind of looking for. Now, infractions, like I said, are smaller levels. Now you get your misdemeanors. Drinking. You know, if you're rowdy, you get in public intox. Public intoxicants are more common to this. But I think you're going to start getting into, like I said, the possession of marijuana. Now, that's a killer. That's a bad one. Because possession of marijuana, particularly if you have possession of marijuana in a motor vehicle, which I'd venture to say 60 to 70% of them are in motor vehicle. When you get caught, You're generally not in your house smoking weed. You're out riding the roads or you're transporting. So, in that case, especially if you're smoking dope and driving, you're just insane. But you will catch that criminal conduct charge, and it's not good. You don't want to go there, man. I'm telling you, or woman, you don't want to go there. But the felonies are the worst. Like I said, I've got the felonies, and they don't like them. I got two of them. One of them they can get rid of, but the felony evasion is not going anywhere. And they look at it like your flight risk, i.e., you're going to turn on them. They look at it like cowardly. I looked at it, like I said, it was a bad night. It wasn't the best night from character, but it happened. Guideline K11, handling protected information. This criteria is more often used to revoke existing clearance and comes down to the ability to responsibly carry out your duties handling the classified information. Repeatedly failing to lock the safe may be seen as a callous attitude towards your duties and could result in clearance revocation. Now, this is where, like I said, they give kids drugs these days and the sugar and fries are right now, because they're not supposed to be smart. They can operate on like, that's it. They can't do any complex math. They're garbage. They're oven fodder. But if you happen to be rich and didn't live on, the N-word side of town, you may be blessed enough to be in the Guideline K. Always check yourself. I learned this from an Army motherfucker. Everything has its place. There's a place for everything. So keep your shit put up. Train your mind. And if you have a problem with that, you're probably going to have a problem doing this. And again, it goes down to what you're doing. Not everybody's officer material. Not everybody's CIA material or special forces, group caliber. Not everybody can take the pain and not ring the bell. I mean, it's only for the best. So, again, handling that protective information, practice with it. I'll give you some practice and tips. Just like this, don't be talking shit. You keep talking shit, you'll be like me, you'll be locked down. And practice, taking a mental note. All right, Guideline 12, outside activities, 12L. This comes down to relationships, financial ones, particularly with foreign countries. If you're being paid by a foreign company or government for any reason, cut the relationship and be sure you can explain that on your SF-86. All right, we're down to the last minute 20. Guideline 13M, use of information technology systems. This means usually illegally downloading music or misuse, watching porn. That's what they say, and that's what they're going to look at. But honestly, between you and me, the closet issue is looking at this. If you're looking at that type of stuff, guess what? The Reds can see it too. And they're right behind your back. And they're looking at your shit. So, you can pretty much forget about that. They use something called SIPRnet. And if you're not using the SIPRnet protocol, which is probably compromised anyway, you're done for. You're smoked. You're smoked before you get in the car. So that's what I tell them. It's probably best to follow those tips. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to get off of here and hopefully earn some loot. Don't forget to check out Clarence Jobs TV. Click below, subscribe, send me some money.